Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Every Damn Week podcast. Last week was part one. We talked about build unshakable discipline. We're getting into part two this week, which is to focus on achieving sustainable balance. Next week will be part three, which will focus on develop steadfast integrity. So for this week's episode about sustainable balance, I want to dive in first, sharing kind of my own personal story here. What did having no balance look like in my life? And I go back to, of course, before I started Every Damn Day, where for me, I didn't know my life was out of balance until other people started telling me that my life was a wreck. My life was not just was not right in this world. Um, my lowest point was when I was disconnected in my relationships from my wife, from my children, from my friends. I was in poor physical shape. I was broke and financially stressed out. I had lost all hope, and I chose to shut out the people that I loved and shut down. And I was miserable and contemplating suicide. One of the things that I didn't realize until somebody finally told me was that my life was completely out of balance. So I want to dive in a little more, and I want to get into the specifics. What are some signs in which you can recognize that your life is out of balance? So let's talk about this now. First of all, let's just kind of talk about what is balance. What is this? What does this sound like? Essentially, balancing is just when you've taken the steps to have equilibrium in all the various aspects of your life, and one is not overriding the other, and you have control of your own emotions, and that when things do fall out of balance, you know how to right the ship, you know how to bring it back in and get it in the right direction. So some common signs for imbalance include, some physical signs. So I mean, if you're constantly getting sick, if you're fatigued all the time, if you get, your weight fluctuates a lot, if you get poor sleep, if you just neglect your personal health, this is a sign that you're out of balance. Another sign would be for emotional signs. What does that look like? Well, okay, if you're irritable, I was certainly irritable when I was out of balance. And when you feel overwhelmed, you've got mood swings, you lose interest in your favorite hobbies, and maybe even loss of interest in talking to people and having relationships. You are persistently anxious and worried. These are all signs of having a lack of balance from an emotional perspective. Relational signs, relationships. You're distant or strained with these relationships that you have with people, and there's a lack of communication. You're neglecting family time. You are having more conflict with people, and you start to feel isolated. These are things that were happening to me, and I was having fights with my wife, and I was having arguments with friends, and I was having difficulty connecting with my kids. I wasn't spending the time I needed to with any of these people, and I was hiding out. So relationships, when they're not right, you know that things are not balanced. Some professional signs. There are things there at work you want to watch out for. So if you have lack of motivation to want to do the job, if your work performance is declining, if you're not interested, you're just bored with what's going on with your job, you're not happy with your job, and you begin to neglect that career that you have, and you don't focus on it anymore. This is a sign of imbalance. Behavioral signs. These are ones that are red flags that you really want to watch out for, especially like substance abuse. If you turn to alcohol or drugs to help yourself feel better, escapism, procrastination, neglecting personal time with people and yourself. If you don't give yourself personal time, and then sometimes you find yourself overcompensating in one area of life. I think this kind of ties into anxiety a little bit too, where you worry and all of a sudden you're focused on that in particular. Some mental signs. The big one here, negative self-talk. And I am like the expert on negative self-talk for For 50 years, I dealt with an inner critic in my head that was just overwhelming and controlling. And because of the things being out of balance in my life, my negative critic would always say, yeah, see, that's going on. And yeah, see, that's going on. And you're worthless. You don't know what you're talking about. And it just would get worse and worse, where you have difficulty concentrating. You're constantly worried and fearful of things. And then you have a lack of purpose that starts to happen. And then finally, spiritual signs. For some people, they're not religious, but for others, it doesn't really matter whether you are or not. If you're disconnected from your values, if you lose hope or lose faith, you neglect any of your spiritual practices, you're disconnected from the world, you don't want to go out, you don't even want to go outside. You don't want to go outside and experience the world around you. It is important when you have any or all of these. I had all of these. These were all happening to me. If you have one or more, you probably need to really focus on your balance. So I want to share benefits. Last video, I kind of forgot to say the word benefits and I called it something else, but I got it this time. I remember benefits. I want to share five benefits with you that come from having sustainable balance. And I'll give you some tips on how to achieve these benefits. And I'm also going to go into, I'm going to throw a few celebrities in here that personify what these look like. So first thing, the first benefit that you're going to experience is reduced stress. And we all of us pretty know what stress is. Stress is what the body's reaction is to a change where it requires us to make some sort of adjustment. And that could be physical, emotional, or psychological. Stress happens for a variety of reasons in our life. And it could be mental stress. It could be physical stress. It could be spiritual stress, all of these things. What are the impacts of stress regularly on our lives? Well, chronic stress can lead to heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and mental disorders like anxiety and depression. It just fuels all of this. According to the American Institute of Stress, 77% of people experience stress that affects their physical health. Stress is a huge factor on physical health. And I've talked about this, I think, in the last episode and several others. I talk about how physical fitness is the base and the foundation for mental and spiritual fitness. The body is a temple. So if you're not physically taking care of yourself, the mental and the spiritual are going to have an impact. Now, by the same token, in reverse, something goes wrong in the mental and the spiritual, those can feed back into the physical, and you get a gigantic feedback loop here. And if you're not taking care of yourself physically, then that impact is going to hit you harder than it would if you were in good shape. Work-related stress costs U.S. businesses up to $300 billion annually due to absenteeism, turnover, and decreased productivity. Stress is huge, folks. This is something that a lot of people struggle to manage, and me included. And there's a variety of stresses that you deal with. It could be from work, it could be from family stresses, it could be, relationship stresses, it could be anything that you're dealing with. So what are some ways to deal with stress so you can start to see the benefits of having reduced stress? Well, physical exercise. Again, I talk about how the physical feeds the mental and the spiritual. I am currently on day 362 for my 366 days of fitness. Had to think for a minute. Always have to realize where I'm at. With that said, for 362 days, I have been doing something fitness related. And I'll share more about this next week, but I can tell you that I am actually, I'm a lot less stressed because I go to the gym and I work out really hard and I put it all on that workout floor, on that gym floor, and I give it everything I've got. And when I walk out, I feel pretty damn good every damn day. It feels awesome. So another thing is time management. I've shared some time management over the last few episodes. I'm not going to go deeper into that. You want to find more out about that, go back to the one where I'm talking about 10x is easier than 2x. Great time management tools to use there. Mindfulness and meditation. These are things that can reduce stress significantly. Especially meditation. I found that if I'm taking a few minutes to do some focused breathing, it tends to help. Joe Dispenza is a good way to do some great meditations. I've heard he does resort getaways for 6 days where you're meditating, or 7 days really, where you're meditating for 7 days straight. I can't meditate for 7 days straight. I can barely meditate for 7 minutes, let alone 7 days, or even 7 hours for that matter. But still, I can affirm that meditation of any type for any length of time is beneficial. And then there's social support. You want to connect with friends and family because the people that are close to you love you. And if you're working on those relationships with those people, then you're going to have less stress. There are studies that show this. It's very essential to have good relationships. Now, one of the first celebrities I want to use here to talk about stress and having a good balanced stress environment is Ryan Reynolds. He's by far one of my favorite actors of the modern era, and just also one of my favorite people to follow. He is so amazing. And if you look at all of the things he's doing, he has an amazing balance. This man is a workaholic. I can relate to him to some degrees. I mean, I'm working on so many different projects, and so is he. And he achieves sustainable balance, and he still has an amazing marriage to his wife, Blake Lively. Some of the things that he uses to cope with, to manage his stress, is he uses humor as a coping mechanism. And you'll see him in interviews and how he'll use humor to navigate those stressful situations in his life, both personal and career wise. He's very fit. He does a lot of exercise, especially for the Deadpool franchise. He's constantly staying in shape and working on that. And then what I also appreciate about Ryan Reynolds, what I like the most, is his focus on mental health. And I like to use the term mental fitness instead of mental health, but he actually is someone who deals with anxiety, and he's open about this. And so he has shared a little bit about that. But he learns new ways to deal with his stress so that his anxiety is under control. He actually is not a fan of going out and doing interviews. That's an anxiety he's had to work with over the years. I think he's gotten better at it, and that's where his humor comes in and is a deflection to reduce his stress levels. And I think it's hilarious. I love it. Benefit number 2, improved relationships. I can tell you that this is so true. When you do have great sustainable balance, your relationships are awesome. They're awesome. Part of this is being emotionally available. And the definition of this is when you are available to someone else and being present and responsive in the relationships you have. And that is so important, to be emotionally available to your wife, to your children, to your friends. Guys, there's a lot of talk out there, but don't share your feelings with your friends. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. It's important, if with your closest friends, you want to share that because it helps build those deeper connections. And having those friends there to support you, it's so important so that they understand how you tick and how they can help you. If you have a good, solid friendship, that is going to help you. I'm going to talk about friendship in a future episode, but for now, I just want to lay that out there and tell you. The impact on being emotionally available is it strengthens the bonds you have with these loved ones. And I was just talking about this. It's leading to those deeper and more fulfilling relationships. Some statistics. Research shows that people in emotionally supportive relationships are more likely to have better physical health and longer life expectancy. I'd like to think my health is much better because of my relationships with my closest people. And then an interesting one, couples who communicate openly about their feelings report higher levels of relationship satisfaction. Yeah, that's pretty true. We all know that communication is pretty important, and it's important in any relationship, especially with your spouse. You want to be having to have those deeper connections. You've got to have conversations. You got to be open and communicate. So, what are some ways to actually build stronger connections, stronger relationships? Well, one of those is active listening. And this is something I've had to work on a lot myself, because it used to be, oh, yeah, I talk. And I still do sometimes. I slip into the groove of, oh, I'm going to talk about this. I talk about myself, blah, blah, blah. No. If you want to have a good relationship with someone, you're engaged and asking them questions. You're focused on them as the speaker in the conversation. You avoid interruptions. You don't interrupt them as much. You reflect back what you understood and confirm what it is that they were saying. It helps build the connection. So give a space for them to be able to do the work and talk and listen to them. Setting boundaries. This is actually very helpful. Establish a healthy boundary with people to protect your time and energy. It's not just, boundaries in conversations, but setting boundaries and expectations on when you're available to these people. That way they understand what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Quality time. You need to prioritize spending quality time with your loved ones. You need to make sure that it's free from distractions, and by doing so, like, put your phone away. Don't take phone calls. Doing those types of things are going to help you develop a deeper connection with people. It shows that they matter and they're important. If you're there and you're listening to some podcast, or if they take a phone call every few minutes, or if they're reading Instagram or Facebook or whatever while you're talking to them, that's not building a deeper connection. They're not interested in talking to you. So in those relationships, ask people to put their phone down, turn it upside down. Don't look at it. Talk to me. And you do the same thing. Take your phone, turn it over, talk to people, connect, get away from the distractions, pull away from that. The last thing I want to share is have empathy and compassion. Connect yourself put yourself in that person's shoes. And if they're sharing something that's very deep and emotional, something that they're struggling with, put yourself in their shoes and make sure they understand that you empathize with what they're going through. You help them see the perspective of what it is that they're sharing and what you've dealt with. Perhaps it's something you've had a problem with. Be open and honest about that. Share your compassion. Another celebrity that I want to bring up is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, one of the things about his relationships is he's got some very good ones. He prioritizes his family, just like Ryan Reynolds does. He also prioritizes his family. That's one of the things that I have found in the commonality with these people that I've picked is family is important. So his experiences as a father and a husband are emphasizing the importance of family time, and being emotionally available to his children are a top priority. A support system. He values his support of his family and friends. So having those connections with those people is very important to him. And then for him, his fans are his support base. And so he's out on social media and he'll share his personal stories and emphasize the importance of relationships and emotional support with them. And that helps him make connections as well. Benefit number 3, greater well-being. Greater well-being. So with greater well-being, one of the things you want to do is take a holistic health approach. What does this mean? It involves caring for the whole person, body, mind, and spirit, physical, mental, spiritual, rather than just treating the specific symptoms or conditions. Again, focusing on the physical, which starts the process to building the mental and the spiritual. Building that physical base comes first. What does a holistic approach lead to? Well, better physical health, mental clarity, and spiritual fulfillment. So, a few statistics on this. People who engage in regular physical activity are 30% less likely to suffer from depression. And one of the big reasons for this is because you get the dopamine effect, the chemicals that you're kicking off in the brain when you're finishing your workout. You shift your mindset. You do this over time. This was the foundation of every damn day. I went from suicidal to stable because of my physical activity. Stay physically fit. Go out there, lift weights, go out there, hit the treadmill, run, walk, do something, do anything. It will reduce your stress and it will reduce your anxiety and your depression. Another statistic, holistic practices such as mindfulness and yoga have been shown to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression and improve overall well-being. Pretty much a fact. So here are some tips on how to do this. And what's number one? Physical health, of course. Regular exercise. Do regular exercise. Consistency is undefeated. My favorite quote. Consistency is undefeated. Get out there and get physically active. Balanced nutrition. This is one that I've struggled with for a very long time. And I still struggle to this day, but I'm better about it. Like I just got back from a trip and I did not eat great. I did okay, but I did not eat great. And I was so glad to come home. I've kind of sort of done a detox the last few days of mostly some protein and fat smoothies, and now doing my yogurt and granola or crunchy or whatever with some blueberries. I'm doing healthier food choices to get my sugar levels back down to a reasonable level. Not that I have them too high, but I certainly was happy to go back to more bland foods and to do that. Another one for physical health, sleep hygiene. Oh my goodness. This is something I'm really struggling with right now, is getting the sleep right. If you don't get the right amount of sleep, 7 to 8 hours, folks, 7 to 8 hours in one block, not sporadic, one block. If you're not getting that, then you are not going to achieve greater well-being. You're not going to be in balance. You must prioritize your sleep. Set your bedtime. Get on a regular schedule if you can. I know for some people that's hard. When one of my friends, he's a pilot, he cannot have a consistent schedule, and that's hard. But he does his best where he can, and he gets an extra nap in when he can. He does what he can where he can, and sometimes that's all you can do. But do your best to get sleep when it's possible. Mental health. Well, we've talked about this before. Mindfulness and meditation. Again, incorporate these into your life. Journaling. Journaling is a very important part of our lives. I don't do it as much as I want to lately, but I can tell you how therapeutic it is. It really can. When I'm really stressed, I turn to my journal and I start writing, and I write things out to help think the thinking process to get through things. And the last thing here on mental health is therapy. I will admit I still see a therapist once a quarter. I do this for checkups, like an oil change. I just go in, get an oil change, and I come out. I make sure that the mental capacities are ticking right. And if there's an issue that I want to work out, I work it out with my therapist right there. Spiritual health, gratitude practice. This is where the journal comes in. Do a gratitude journal. Gratitude journals are amazing. Or just incorporate it into your regular journal and just list, what are you grateful for? What are 5 things every single day you're grateful for? Do those. Connect with nature. Get outside. Get out of your house. Go walk. Go do a hike. Do something outside. Just get out of the house. Rejuvenate your spirit by doing that. And then, of course, meditation or prayer. Do any of these. Meditation was in there for mental health. It's just as good for spiritual health, too. Nothing wrong with that. So the third celebrity that I want to share here is Matthew McConaughey. And I actually read his book, Green Lights. And one of the things about his book that I noticed is He's very committed to physical health. He's also, a very outdoorsy guy, likes running and hiking, but he does a lot of journaling and reflection. That's kind of where his book Green Lights came from, was from his journaling. One of the things he would do is he would just write and reflect on what had happened, and it helps him gain clarity. And then, some spiritual practices as well. For him, it's the same thing, going out and connecting with nature and finding, as he would say, green lights or moments of flow that will align with his values and his goals in life. So Matthew McConaughey, I highly recommend you read that book, by the way. I might review it at some point, but it's a good read, just a good philosophical view of the world. And so I would recommend that as well if you're interested. Benefit number 4, clarity and focus. It's so nice to be able to have clarity of thought and to focus, to be able to just focus to get something done. A balanced lifestyle will promote this, and you have better decision making as a result and enhanced productivity. Some statistics. Research shows that balanced individuals are more likely to perform better at work and experience less burnout. And then for individuals with balanced lifestyles, report higher levels of satisfaction and well-being. Some tips for developing your clarity and focus include goal setting. Again, go back to the episode on 10x is easier than 2x. I talk about goal setting. I also talk about it in the last episode. Go back and watch that if you haven't yet. Goal setting is so important because when you set your clear and achievable goals, it provides some direction and purpose for your daily activities. Minimize your distractions. You need to identify and eliminate distractions. This is a distraction. This is a distraction. Your phone is a distraction. You want to limit those distractions. Unnecessary screen time is probably one of the biggest problems and distractions for me. And it's hard because I'm on social media, and so I'm monitoring things, I'm posting things, I'm staying on top of things. It's really hard. So I pick it up and I can get so distracted and go down a rabbit hole. Find ways to fix that, because by doing that, you'll reduce multitasking as well as your improved focus and productivity. Why will it reduce multitasking? Well, when you've spent too much time on the phone, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to catch up. And so then you're doing multiple things to catch up. Stop it. Mindful breaks. You have to incorporate breaks in your day. Get up, go for a walk, 5 minutes. Get up. If you're at home, I work from home. So I have to remind myself, get up, go and get a drink of water, go do whatever I need to do to step away and clear my head. All of that will help you recharge and help you maintain some mental clarity. And then, of course, the last thing, daily planning. That goes back in with the goal setting. If you've been setting your goals on a regular basis, then your planning should be fairly easy because you know what it is you want to accomplish. So by sitting down and outlining your priorities for the day and spelling that out, you can stay on track and you can stay focused. This will help bring you some clarity and focus. All 3, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, and Matthew McConaughey, all personify some clarity and focus here. You take Ryan Reynolds, for example. Look at the ventures he has. He's involved in movies. He's involved in a gin company. He's involved in Mint Mobile. He has a soccer football for those of you in Europe team. And he's traveling the world, like with Deadpool and Wolverine out right now. He is traveling everywhere to support and promote the movie. And he's still showing up to his soccer matches, and he's still there for his family. So he prioritizes what's most important, which is his family. And in an interview recently, they asked him, are you going to do Deadpool again? He's like, no, my family will divorce me and there's no prenup. So then he'll have to do another Deadpool. Yeah, he knows how important family is. And I appreciate that from him. That is amazing. Dwayne Johnson, of course, he has disciplined routines that he has set up, and his workouts He starts at 4 a.m., about an hour before I get up. And but he has strategic goal setting, and he just has ways of maintaining focus, and and being able to do both short-term and long-term tasks effectively, as well as those goals that are associated with them. Matthew McConaughey, his concept of green lights, it just reflects the philosophy of seizing those opportunities that align with his values, and he finds ways throughout to get that clarity and that focus when those green lights happen. So he's also an example of this. Benefit number 5 is sustainable habits. Now, you want to create long-term habits, and habits are crucial for long-term success and maintaining life balance. And I'll give you one of the statistics here, and I'm actually going to argue it a little bit. Studies suggest it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit, though this can vary depending on the complexity of the habit. I'd like to throw out there that I think it takes 90 days to build a habit. And sure, depending on the complexity of the habit, that can also still change. But I say 90 days because we live in the era of the cell phone, as well as just, the internet in general. It creates distractions. It sucks us away from everything that we're doing. And it's so hard to have balance when we're distracted all the time. And it's hard to develop consistent habits when you're falling into the rabbit hole on a regular basis. Consistent habits such as regular exercise or mindfulness practices have been shown to improve overall well-being and life satisfaction. Yeah, physical fitness. What do I talk about a lot? What do you see in my shorts out there, folks? The shorts I'm putting out there talk about my 366-day goal of fitness every single day. By focusing on that and being consistent with it, I have developed a habit. I developed that habit more than 300 days ago. So if you follow their numbers, 66 days. Less if you go with mine, the 90 days. The habit has now been formed. The habit is now part of a routine. The routine takes 6 months, in my opinion, because you're doing multiple habits. Here's some tips for building sustainable habits. Start small. Don't start big. This is why when I started the 366-day goal, when I started it, that was 366 days is a big goal, folks. You start it then, right from day one, yeah, you're going to hit failure. And I did this for the first every damn day run too. I tried to go to 52 weeks and I did. And then I extended it out. I said, I'm going to go another year. Well, what I did on day 1 of this recent every damn day challenge, I went 60 days, small goal, and I made it. And when I got to 60 days, I said, okay, well, let's extend it to 90. And then after getting to 90, I said, you know what? We're going to go to the end of the year. And then when I got to closer to the end of the year, I said, no, we're going for a full year. Start small, grow from there. And just to note, you don't have to do anything huge for an exercise routine. You can just show up, do 10 minutes. Start with 10 minutes. Go show up and walk on the treadmill and go home. Just do something. Just show up. Start the habit. Consistency is undefeated. That's another tip. I love that so much. That's why I repeat it. That is my favorite quote that I share. Consistency is undefeated. Make the commitment to be consistent. And even though you may not see progress, it takes time. Like at the gym, it's taken me a year to really see the changes that I've undergone. And that was not a quick fix deal. So make sure you're consistent. You will see it. Take measurements along the way. It will happen. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's a physical activity, a mental improvement activity, or a spiritual activity. All of this takes time. Create a system. You want to develop a system that supports the habits, such as setting reminders, tracking your progress, or definitely, I highly recommend when you're starting out, for at least 90 days, incorporate an accountability partner. I incorporated accountability partner for this second round of Every Damn Day. And it was helpful to do. And then when I realized that I didn't need my accountability partner anymore because the habit and the routine were established, I let go of the accountability partner. Now I'm accountable to myself. I'm strong enough now that I am accountable to myself. But when you're starting, get an accountability partner. It helps. And then, last tip here, reward yourself. Pat yourself on the back. And then part of this too is share the wins with your friends and family. They want to support you. They want to cheer you on. I absolutely love all of my friends and family who have been supporting me on my 366-day journey. They are so proud of me. They are so happy for me. And to know and to hear that from them fuels me to keep going. Share that. They want to celebrate the rewards with you. You know, I want to celebrate my 366 days with you guys, my followers, because this is an important step in my journey in becoming a well-balanced and better dad, better father overall, better husband, better friend, just a better person. And it has really helped. Again, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, Matthew McConaughey, all embody sustainable habits. And the one out of all of these that I think I am impressed with the most, actually two, Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson. Ryan Reynolds has habits that are unbreakable. It's the only way he can be able to achieve the balance he has and accomplish everything that he has. The man is wealthy beyond belief and has so many projects going on. And he also knows when to step back and take a break. That's the thing. He understands when it's time for him to recharge and take a break. Dwayne Johnson, he exemplifies it with his 4 a.m. workouts and his rigorous diet. He's incredible. And yeah, he has sustainable habits. And Matthew McConaughey is the same way. That's his approach to life. It's all of their approaches, to life. Anybody that you know that has so many different things happening in their life, and those are all successful things, they have achieved sustainable balance. Everyone, I cannot tell you how good it feels to have sustainable balance. What that looks like for me now compared to what I shared with you at the beginning. I'm in physical shape. I'm in much better physical shape than I ever have been in my entire life because of the work that I have put in to achieve that physical balance. My relationships with my family, my wife, with my children are better than they've ever been. My relationships with my friends are better than they've ever been. With my best friend, it's better than they've ever been because we've connected better. I've connected better with my wife. I've connected better with people because I've built confidence, self-confidence. And I've having lower stress, being able to have clarity and focus, to be able to have good habits that support all of this, and just in, man, greater well-being overall. Just all of these things are ways that I have achieved amazing balance. And when you're like that, you're in kind of that Zen mode. My son likes to do the fold his arms, and he's in Zen mode. Everyone, go out there and find your balance. Dad, find your balance. Balance will help you. Sustainable balance will help you to be a better father, to be a better husband, to be a better friend. These are all admirable goals that we should all be trying to accomplish as dads. We want to be the best dad out there. Thank you very much again for coming back and watching another episode. We'll do part 3 next week. Take care.